I'm a firm believer that open is good. I've talked for a long time about how the written and spoken language that we all use needs to be open, shared. Nobody should own and control the alphabet, grammar, syntax. Interfaces should all be published and open. Nobody should own the fact that the brake pedal is to the left of the accelerator pedal, especially when you rent a car. And that bumpers all ought to be at the same height, so you don't have, bumper to teeth when you have a little collision. It should be bumper on bumper. So there's a lot of advantages. Isn't it cool that we aren't using Darwin to decide whether to drive on the right-hand or the left-hand side of the road in any particular geography? Is the right or left better? Let's test it. Everybody drive wherever you want, and we'll see which side we all end up on. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense, and that it is helpful when we decide to just do things one way and all get behind it. And that's been very helpful in a lot of areas. I remember TCP/IP when we started to put TCP/IP on every Sun computer starting day one. Everybody else was doing LAN manager, token ring, DECnet, Novell with, what was it called? IPX was kind of the hot new ticket, and everybody thought, what are you doing TCP/IP for? Well, it was open, and it won, and that's a good thing, and look what's happened. Open is good because free is fairly inexpensive. And I believe, stuff tends towards the cost of manufacturing and the cost of distribution. And bits have a zero cost of goods sold and a zero cost of distribution. And with open, you tend towards a zero cost of engineering, because there's a lot of folks like you all who do this stuff for very little pay. And we thank you for that, and I want to congratulate you all, because you're doing a good thing. You're helping to move the written and spoken language of computing forward, which is going to solve a lot of really important problems out there. And we have a chance to have the world make the technology better rather than, say, all of the database engineers in Armonk, which is a subset of the planet. I also think the code is better. There's an interesting thing about open source code, and we noticed at Sun when we tried to release something to the community, a new rev or a new product or whatever, it took longer. And I was always a little confused about that until an engineering manager told me, it's done, it's ready, it works. The engineer is just not ready to expose their code to the outside world because they want to document it, they want to make sure there are no bugs, they want to make sure it looks good. The last thing they want is every backseat engineer or software engineer in the world going, look at this yodel brain, look what they did here, oh, look at that. It's just not, they wanted to make sure it was all shined up, clean and nice, but that makes for better code, interestingly enough. If nobody's going to look at it, who cares? It's like my haircut, I can't see it, I don't care. So that also drives an earlier detection of bugs and faults in the code, because everybody's looking at it. And interestingly enough, open source code, and I think it's important for you all to, data is a big deal now. It is the big deal. And when I go talk to CIOs to this day, they all tell me their number one problem is data. How to turn it into information, how to manage it, how to store it, how to retrieve it, how to archive it, how to kill it. All kinds of challenges, but a big one is how to keep it secure. How to, the Holy Grail is knowing who's who, what's what, and who gets access to what. And we'll be dealing with that challenge for all of our careers. So security is a very important component and gets you in a lot of trouble if you don't handle it properly. There's no such thing as 100% absolute security. Somebody else has to know how to handle it, because if you die, then it all gets locked up and it's gone forever. So it's really a level of security, but open source is, I believe, demonstrably and certainly intellectually, arguably more secure than closed source code. And I'm not quite sure what the best analogies are, but the one I like is, can you imagine if the Trojan horse had been made of glass and everybody could see inside? Do you think they would have said, hey, look at all the warriors in there with weapons. Let's open up the gate, roll them inside, and let them come in and take care of us, right? They probably would have said, well, we'll just leave that outside. And the other example I give is proprietary code is by definition secret. And there are lots of secrets embedded in proprietary code. The problem with secrets is that humans are very good at discovering secrets, and they're very bad at keeping secrets. And so when the secret gets out on your vulnerability or whatever, then you're going to have a breach. And the bigger the secret, the bigger the breach, and the more guaranteed the secret is going to get out at exactly the wrong moment. The beauty of open source is there are no secrets. It's all open, it's all transparent. And as a result, you have safer and more secure code. That's a good thing. And it isn't early on when all your secrets are exposed, but you get those fixed. And if you look at the DoD data that comes out of our Defense Department, they will show you, and it's all there on the web to see, that it's as much as an order of magnitude more secure and safe to use open source code than it is to use proprietary code. And that's a little bit against well, I call it conventional wisdom. If it was wisdom, they wouldn't have to call it conventional wisdom. But that's a little bit of what's going on and why the intelligence and defense departments have all started to move much more aggressively than the commercial sector into open source code.